England slept. Why England slept. Why they thought that Hitler was going to stop. And it just involved all the mainland, not England. A terrible price for that negligence. And the free world paid a terrible price for that negligence. Mr. Speaker, we have a Congress who...
Gentleman's time's up.
Let us not go home. Let us do our duty. Let us be the kind of America that we say. I yield back.
The chair recognizes the gentleman from Nebraska, Mr. Flood.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like unanimous consent to address the House for 5 minutes.
Without objection.
Mr. Speaker, as National Law Enforcement Day approaches, I rise today to salute our men and women who keep our communities safe each and every day. It wasn't long ago that law enforcement were almost universally respected in America. The blue uniform was a symbol not just of law and order, but also community peace and harmony. Policemen and policewomen belonged among the most trusted community members alongside nurses, teachers, firefighters, and postal workers. But something happened in 2020. Anti-police riots erupted in communities across the country, places like Seattle, Minneapolis, Chicago, besieged by violence. Violent protesters set up law enforcement free zones in Seattle, known as CHAZ. Civil unrest in Minneapolis led to $500 million worth of damage, while city leadership failed to keep order after George Floyd's death. Folks looked at the Magnificent Mile in Chicago while the world watched America burn. But this destruction wasn't tolerated in Nebraska. When disorder erupted in two of our major cities, then Governor Pete Ricketts cracked down. He deployed the State Patrol and the National Guard to assist communities and protected businesses and homeowners. Since the national unrest in 2020, Nebraska has doubled down on our commitment to support our men and women in blue. While some states have repealed traditional protections for law enforcement, Nebraska has maintained qualified immunity. This is critical to ensuring law enforcement officers can do their jobs without the threat of frivolous lawsuits or complaints. Last year, before I came to Congress, I was the proud co-sponsor of the Law Enforcement Attraction and Retention Act in our legislature. This bill provided and provides a variety of cash incentives for individual officers to help law enforcement agencies retain their workforce. It received almost unanimous approval from that body. This year, and I really want to double down on this, the legislature in Nebraska passed the First Responder Recruitment and Retention Act. It covers 100% of tuition for law enforcement officers, firefighters, and their children who want to get a college degree from a community college, a state college, or a university. We are the first state in the nation to give police officers, their families, their children, free college. Recognizing what they do is important and it is needed. If you're living in one of those places where law enforcement are under attack, I want you to look at Nebraska. Look at what we can do for you and your family. We have a variety of opportunities available to law enforcement. The Nebraska State Patrol is the finest statewide agency in the nation, led by an outstanding Colonel, John Bolduc. Our two biggest cities have fantastic large agencies that provide lots of opportunities to advance. The Hunt, we can help you there too. We have lots of opportunities in smaller agencies, mid-sized communities, and a plethora of opportunity. There is truly an opportunity in Nebraska for every law enforcement officer, and it comes with a low cost of living and competitive salaries. Our communities need police officers. Rural communities need police officers. We are doing what we can in Nebraska to make it as attractive to people across the country as humanly possible. As we honor our peace officers on Law Enforcement Appreciation Day, I invite anyone working in the profession to consider my great state as you think about your career and what's best for your family, and know that Nebraska, we salute your work. We wish you all the best as you continue to protect communities in the good life and across our country. May God bless you. May God bless the United States of America. Thank you, and I yield back.
The chair recognizes the gentleman from California, Mr. Malafa, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, it can't be overestimated the value and the need for water in our lives, in what we consume food-wise, and what it provides in flood control, what it provides in hydroelectric power, just water at the tap, and even environmental water. As a representative of California, we certainly go through a lot of gyrations and a lot of fights over water. As Mark Twain is quoted as saying, is whiskey's for drinking and water's for fighting, especially in California. So there's plenty of that. So what's going on underway? Well, back in the 30s and then in the 60s, two major projects were built to turn California into the blooming land that it is, of so much bounty, so much great agriculture, so much opportunity. With the federal water project started in the 30s, and the state water project conceived in the 50s, and much of it built in the 60s. In my own district, we have two dams, Shasta Dam at 4.5 million acre feet and Lake Oroville at 3.5 million acre feet. And so those have made so much possibility for people of California, but not just California. Really, it's helped the whole country. I'll tell you why. Because agriculture is a key element of the sustainability for this country. It's strategic needs for being able to feed itself, defend itself. You can't be overestimated how important that is as well. So what do we currently have happening in California and in the western states? The extreme environmental left is moving to remove more and more dams as we speak. Right now in the Klamath River, up in the north end of my district, there's 4 dams that are in the target sites for that. They make hydroelectric power. Now, as a sidebar here, what do we hear constantly in this chamber? Filtered through climate change. And so when you have sources of power that are zero CO2, such as hydroelectric power, as well as nuclear power, and very clean, efficient power, such as natural gas, which is being phased out or pushed out by the Biden administration as we can't explore or build pipelines for it. Where are we going to get the power if you want to tear these dams out? If you want to take all these inputs for producing electricity in this country, at the same time as you're forcing more and more things to be powered by electricity, vehicles, big trucks. I see on the internet there's a major cargo carrier saying we need to electrify our aircraft. I mean, how heavy will an airplane be when you've loaded up with batteries? Well, that goes capacity left. A big semi-rig for the highways is 80,000 pounds GVD. They electrify it and add 2 8,000-pound batteries to that. 16,000 more pounds cargo you'll have to take off. So that means 5 trucks will have to now do the job of 4 trucks. This is where we're going. So hydroelectric power is extremely important to fuel whatever level of electricity we're going to be using. You know, they want to ban gas stoves, they want to ban gas heaters. If we're going to have more and more of a reliability on the electric grid, which I hope we don't go through these crazy policies, we're going to continue to need this power. So why are we tearing dams out? They want to tear them out in the state of Washington. And they're talking about, as we just visited the Colorado River on the West over the weekend, the Hoover Dam. What a mighty structure that is, with 8 great big power lines in there. And above that, Lake Powell. They're talking about, well, maybe we don't really need Lake Powell anymore because we're in the middle of a drought situation. Yeah, we're in a tough drought. But what if we didn't have those to begin with? We wouldn't have stored that water that has helped us sustain for several years, through many years of drought, actually. Back in my own district with full Lake Shasta and full Lake Oroville, under the original conditions, that would get you 5 years through 5 years worth of drought. Agriculture for people at the tap, for hydroelectric power, and yes, even recreation. So what is that at the same time they want to force more and more electric vehicles and electric everything and rip out the means to make the power? It doesn't make a lick of sense. I just see we're a company, they lost about $4.5 billion last year electrifying. You had the original influx of people buying electric vehicles. Now that's fallen off because once the incentives go away, or once you can get a sticker to drive it in fast lane in certain areas in California, the rest of the market probably isn't too interested in that. Their F-150 Lightning, they're pulling back production by at least half, maybe more, because people aren't buying these vehicles like they supposedly are projecting. Stored water is an incredibly good thing. Why it matters to the rest of the country as well is California has grown so many amazing crops over the years with the innovation and ability to farm the lands that we've had in the San Joaquin Valley. We would not have the food that the whole country eats, since 90% of these crops are grown in California. I yield back.
The chair recognizes the gentleman from South Carolina, Mr. Norman, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to recognize Officer Alan Brandon for his retirement following 30 years of service in public safety. Officer Brandon has served the 5th District of South Carolina in many roles. In each, he displayed incredible leadership, bravery, and his community with incredible work and dedicated service throughout his career. In 1983, he began his service as a patrolman at the TKK department and was quickly promoted to a supervisor in 1985. He then moved to the York County Sheriff's Office, where his work proved to make a true impact on the community. He held many roles operating in the narcotics department for many years before being promoted again to the patrol lieutenant and the captain of the Uniform and Field Services Division. Officer Brandon's service is reflective of the values that the police force holds most important: accountability, integrity, honesty, and courage. I would also like to take the time to recognize Mr. Brandon's family, his wife Melania, and his 2 children, Sarah and William. Working in the police force requires sacrifice and support from the entire family. In addition to his service on the police force, Officer Brandon has served the community as an elder at Forest Hills Church, a Keystone board member of the Palmetto Boy Scouts Board, and a leader for the United Way of York County. Officer Brandon has set the gold standard for representing his community with pride and prioritize fairness and justice. Please join me in honoring Officer Brandon for 30 years of impactful service to the 5th District of South Carolina. Godspeed in your retirement. I yield back, Mr. Speaker.
The chair recognizes the gentleman from Georgia, Mr. Clyde.
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent to address the House for 5 minutes and to extend and revise my remarks.
Without objection.
Thank you.
Oh, dear Lord.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to honor the life and legacy of Grinnell University's 10th president, Dr. Ann Sclater, who passed after bravely battling cancer at Emory University Hospital in Atlanta. Born in Pittsburgh, Ann studied psychology at the University of Pittsburgh, later earned her doctoral from Temple University. Dr. Sclater then incorporated her passion for people and learning into a successful career in academia, teaching and serving students for years. Breaking glass ceilings, Ann went on to become the 10th and first woman president of Grinnell University in Gainesville, Georgia. Yet a title that she cherished, but rather the opportunity to improve the lives and futures of Grinnell University students. Her leadership extended beyond the campus as she served on the executive committee of the Atlanta Regional Council of Higher Education and was up for numerous organizations, including the Women's College Coalition, the Association of Independent Colleges and Universities, and the Greater Hall Chamber of Commerce. Our sincere condolences are with Ann's family as they mourn her loss. While her leadership and impact on our community will surely be missed, we cherish Dr. Sclater's legacy and find comfort in knowing that she has found eternal peace with her beloved parents and brother in the presence of our Heavenly Father. Georgia's 9th District will always remember the incredible impact that Dr. Sclater had on students at Grinnell University and on our community as a whole. Speaker, I rise today to honor the exceptional businesses in Lumpkin County. The Dahlonega-Lumpkin County Chamber of Commerce recently held its annual State of Economic Development meeting to recognize outstanding businesses in our community. On behalf of the 9th District, I'd like to honor this year's winners. Congratulations to the Development Authority of Lumpkin County's economic recipient, Dahlonega, a successful transportation and tour company in North Georgia. This honor is well deserved as Dahlonega continues to make incredible investments in the Lumpkin County community. Additionally, I'd like to recognize this year's Corporate Responsibility Award recipient, Our Ranch in the Mountains, which creates a positive impact in Lumpkin County by offering Northeast Georgians and tourists alike exceptional experiences through its more than 800 acres of campsites, trails, and lodging. Nestled in the beautiful North Georgia mountains, Our Ranch brings tremendous value to the community through its unique amenities and activities, cultivating economic growth and memorable adventures for families and outdoor enthusiasts. I'd also like to congratulate Blue Coolers, the recipient of the Workforce Development Award. In addition to manufacturing top-notch durable coolers, this thriving company received this exciting honor for its impressive initiatives to train and equip individuals with skills and knowledge needed to maintain a strong workforce. Next, I'd like to recognize Satellite Industries, a leading innovator in the portable sanitation industry, receiving the Business of the Year award. For over 65 years, Satellite Industries has been advanced engineering their products, such as portable restrooms and trailers, to be strong and user-friendly for customers across the country. Congratulations to Satellite Industries on this outstanding achievement. In addition, the City of Dahlonega Downtown Development Authority recognized several downtown businesses for their significant impact on the community this year. These honors include Black Bear Mercantile as emerging business, Dahlonega Inn on Main for downtown investment, the Station as the local favorite, and Connie's Ice Cream and Sandwich Shop for Downtown Business of the Year. Congratulations to Dahlonega Lumpkin County Chamber of Commerce's 2023 State of Economic Development Award winners. I thank each of the recognized businesses for positively impacting our community, strengthening the future workforce in North Georgia, and fostering economic prosperity in Lumpkin County. Mr. Speaker, my colleague, the former Majority Leader and the Democrats on the Democrat side, just remind single subject rule that our Speaker co-sponsored back in 2015. That is the current rule of the House, and yet my Democrat colleague wants us to violate it by lumping an aid for Ukraine, Taiwan, and Israel together with border security in one bill. No, we have already passed a bill to support Israel. We've already passed a border security bill, H.R. 2. Both are languishing in the Democrat-controlled Senate. Where was the call for the Senate to stay here and do their job? He should have called upon the Senate, as I do now, pass the Israel bill, the Secure the Border Act, and give both countries a merrier Christmas. Thank you, and I yield back.
The chair recognizes the gentleman from Arizona, Mr. Siscomani, for 5 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to highlight the work being done on behalf of our veterans. The work that my office has been working on. Arizona's 6th Congressional District is home to over 70,000 veterans. Our district has a historic legacy of service to our country, from the service members at Davis-Monthan Air Force Base and Fort Huachuca to incredible veterans like Walter Rand, a World War II and Purple Heart recipient. Role as their congressman, I've made it my mission to secure as much assistance as possible for those who risk their lives for our freedom. I've made it a priority to help our veterans, service members, and their families as they navigate federal agencies. This year alone, my team has been able to return $345,000 to veterans. The responsibility to provide for them is not one I take lightly, and I am committed to ensuring their care and support that they deserve. This is something that extends to my time here in Washington. As a member of the House Veterans Affairs Committee, I have made a concerted effort to introduce common sense bills to improve the lives of those who served. My first bill ever introduced in Congress, H.R. 1378, the Veterans Appeals Backlog Improvement Act, aims to address the lengthy waiting period our veterans face when trying to appeal a claim at the VA. I also led an effort to expand access to our veterans in rural areas seeking disability claims with 2 pieces of legislation. H.R. 5470, the Veterans Medical Exams for the Distant Areas Act and H.R. 5938, the Veterans Expansion Act. It's critical that we ensure our veterans receive the same care no matter their zip code. The same goes to the educational benefits they receive. That's why I spearheaded H.R. 5702, the Expanding Access for Online Students Act, legislation to ensure our students veterans taking classes virtually receive the same housing benefits as our counterparts taking classes in person. I learned about that need when I visited the Veterans Center over at the University of Arizona, and this was highlighted and we took immediate action. We must ensure our veterans are equipped with the tools they need to successfully transition out of uniform and into civilian life. That includes a meaningful career, which is what led me to introducing H.R. 1669, the Vet Tech Authorization Act. The bill authorizes a popular VA program that covers the cost of veterans seeking job training in high-tech industries. Each of these bills is a small effort to improve the lives of those who sacrifice so much. So on behalf of the people's 6th Congressional District, I extend our deepest gratitude to the incredible men and women who have served our country. While we will never be able to fully repay all of you that have served, we have a duty to fight for you as you fought for us. Thank you, and I yield back.
The chair recognizes the gentleman from Kentucky, Mr. Barr, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, is today to honor a proud Kentuckian, a great American patriot, and my great uncle, Lieutenant Colonel retired Francis D. Falconer, who passed away on October 19th at the age of 100. My grandfather's younger brother was better known to many of us in central Kentucky as Fearless Falconer, the first weatherman for WKYT, later WTVQ, and finally WKQQ, delivered for us the weekly Fearless Frank's 5-day forecast. But what many don't know was that before he became our weatherman, Frank had a distinguished military career. After graduation from Lafayette High School in 1941, he enlisted in the United States Army in 1943 and took basic training at Camp Crowder, Missouri, a signal training facility. But overseas in Europe in 1944, Falconer was transferred to the Liaison G3 section of the 1st United States Army. In this capacity, he traveled with Combat Command A of the 3rd Armored Spearhead Division from Meaux, France to Röttgen, Germany. Service in the European Theater of Operation earned him 5 Bronze Stars for his service in Normandy, northern France, and Central Europe, and the Ardennes. He additionally was awarded the Distinguished Service Award for helping to escort the reserve elements of the Combat Command at night, from the rear to the forward elements of the battle line. I will always remember my uncle telling me about tearing down Nazi swastikas from the churches along the battle front so that American flags signal the path of liberation. Frank has now taken his rightful place in heaven and in the history books, chronicling the story of American freedom alongside his beloved brother, my grandfather, Major General J.B. Falconer, Army veteran of theater, with the millions of other heroes of the greatest generation. God bless all these heroes, and we thank them for their service, and as a continual and powerful reminder to all of us that freedom requires sacrifice. It must be always inspire us to continually to fight for freedom and democracy. And with that, Mr. Speaker, I yield back.
Pursuant to Clause 12A, Rule 1, the chair declares the House recess until noon today.